Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to I guess we're going to call it the Sawyer Gill's unplanned, unscripted, and I don't know, unfiltered college football and NFL podcast. Um, so I know it's a little bit in the middle of the season for me to start this, but I was trying to get settled in college, and yeah. So it's week 5 in college football, week 4 in the NFL. I'm really excited to break down these games today. So how this is going to work is I'll probably talk about 4, maybe 5 college football games, probably the best ones. And then I'll transition over to the NFL where I'm going to talk probably about a lot more games. I'll probably mix in all of them at some point. Let me check. I think the audio levels are good. So yeah. Ooh, a little bit of a twisty action there, twirling it. But yeah. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's start talking with college football. Tonight's games. I'm recording this on Friday. If you're watching this, you might be watching this on Friday. So I don't know. But I'm not going to talk about either game tonight. Honestly, this one is the most interesting of them all tonight. And to be completely honest, I think that Arizona State's going to beat them because I don't think TCU's really played anybody. And yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. And then the other game, I think Florida State's just going to beat the ever-living crap out of Virginia. So yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's start out with USC Illinois. Let's start out with two top 25 ranked teams. Obviously, last week we saw Illinois travel to Bloomington and get the absolute crap beaten out of them. They were a really underrated team coming into this year. I think that they really actually, let me transition over to ESPN so I can see the lines too. I really want to see the lines. The line on that one is USC minus 6.5. But anyways, Illinois went to Bloomington last week, got beat by 50. Really, I don't think it was a testament to Illinois' weaknesses more as it was a testament to Indiana's strengths. And I think that's what a lot of the other podcast hosts around the country were saying, was that it was really a test of strength for Indiana. Are they stronger than last year? And last Saturday they proved that they are stronger than last year. They are a better team than a team that really got into the playoffs on a whim and then got beat the crap out of them in the first round by Notre Dame. They're not that team again this year. Whereas Illinois gets beat by 50, and I think a lot of people's immediate reaction was, why did that happen? Is Illinois that bad? And I can't see myself sitting here saying today that Brett Bielema and Luke Altmaier, maybe they can't make the playoff this season after a loss like that, but they're gonna find a way to make a statement this season, whether it be Luke Altmaier at least being top 5 in the Heisman, getting to a really good bowl game, Brett Bielema Coach of the Year. They're going to find something, They're going to find something that they're going to do this year that's really going to stick them out among the other teams, especially in the top 25 that maybe didn't make the playoff. So, I don't think the season is completely lost for them, but I don't think they're going to make the playoff anymore. Let's talk about, let's see here. Let's talk about, and for that game, I would say Illinois plus 6.5 is a safe bet. I honestly don't like USC. I mean, I like them. I like Jordan Maeva. I think he's kind of a Caleb Williams 2.0. But again, they haven't really played anybody this year. So let's talk about another game. Let's go down to the what is it? Oxford, Mississippi. I think so. where uh where Ole Miss takes on it's Oxford, where Ole Miss takes on LSU. Now, obviously, the big story coming into this was Lane Kiffin's daughter, Landry Kiffin. Landry Kiffin posted on social media that she is now dating star defensive end, linebacker Whit Weeks from LSU, and a lot of people were making speculations whether Lane Kiffin knew about it. Was it just posting for likes? All of that. My opinion on it, I do think Lane Kiffin knew about it. I don't think there was any way that she would have posted that without Lane Kiffin knowing about it. I listen to a podcast called Part of My Take, shout out Big Cat and PFT, and Big Cat was saying, maybe Lane Kiffin goes up to him and was like, what are y'all running on defense this weekend? I don't think that that's happening either, but I certainly don't think that there's some huge fight within the household. Between LSU and Ole Miss. Landry Kiffin, she goes to Ole Miss herself, I'm sure she's still hotty toddy. Let's go Rebs. So, yeah. But anyways, aside from that little fun tidbit, what do we have here? Well, I don't think Ole Miss's starting quarterback is playing. I don't know that for sure. Let me look because I yeah, there was something the other day I saw Lane Kiffin was talking about how I think it's no, this kid is starting Chambliss, but Trinidad Chambliss, but their true starting quarterback, I believe, it's Austin Simmons. Austin Simmons is not starting. I don't know if he never got the job, or I haven't really watched a lot of Ole Miss this season, I gotta be honest. But on the other side of the ball, Garrett Nussmeier. Garrett Nussmeier is like, how do I say this? Garrett Nussmeier is like if Joe Burrow lost his ability to run. That's how I would best describe him. The guy's been in college football for so many years, probably 4 or 5 now. I know he's a senior. He's got to be a senior. But what I will say about Garrett Nussmeier is that he was a name that college football experts knew before he was a starter. He was Joe Burrow's, I guess in a way. No, he was Jaden Daniels' successor, in a way. And I think he was in the middle there. I think he was in the middle between Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels as well. I gotta check that out. But he's best described as Joe Burrow without legs. I don't think he can run the ball. Look at these stats. He's a pass first quarterback, and in college football, he's doing something that's amazing, because I always feel like college football quarterbacks do need some legs. But either way, this LSU defense is so good. Whit Weeks, as I mentioned, they just have a great feisty young group of boys back there, and I like them to win this game just based off of experience. I don't know why Mississippi is favored. Ole Miss is favored in this one, but I would absolutely hammer LSU plus 1.5 here. I don't really see a huge upside in Ole Miss where I look at this game and I'm like, they're gonna win this game because of that. But I do see it with LSU. All right, on to the next game. So, actually, looking at this college football slate, I'll talk a little bit about the whole picture itself here. I like how every game here is gonna be a close one. Like Auburn, they just played a effing shootout with with Oklahoma last weekend. And listen, Jackson Arnold really played well last weekend. Or no, I'm sorry, he didn't play well last weekend. But if he steps up his game, Auburn has all the materials to go in to College Station this weekend and beat the Aggies. So I would look out for them. Arkansas, they're dead. They're a corpse. But Notre Dame needs this win. So if they can just punish Arkansas here today, it'll really get them back on a good track. Maybe making the playoff as a 2-loss team. But me personally, I disagree with a lot of the college football experts saying that they're gonna make the playoff as a 2-loss team. But if they're right, this is a game where they can get back on track and and get moving and win the rest of their football games. Because if they don't win the rest of their football games, they have no chance, according to me and according to all the other college football experts. But right now, according to me, I don't think they have any chance. Other college football experts differ. They say they might. I don't know. Ohio State, Washington. Washington, they're good. Ohio State's better. I like Washington. I like how they're at home in this one. That gives them a couple of points there at least. But I don't see them winning that one. Mississippi State, Tennessee. Mississippi State having one of the best years in a while for their program, staying at home. Tennessee going to Starkville. I like that matchup for Mississippi State, so I wouldn't be surprised if they beat Tennessee. But Tennessee is also coming off that Georgia game, so they're just going to be so feisty and hungry that I still think they're going to win it. But Mississippi State, man, I think they're going to win this game by staying in there. They're not going to win this game on the scoreboard, but they're going to win this game in their hearts because they're going to stay in that game the entire time, and they're going to fight. And while I don't think they're going to win, they're going to show themselves that they're better than they were even better than they were last year. They're better than they were 2 years ago, 3 years ago, last year. They're a lot better team this year than they have been in the past. That's the point I'm trying to make. Arizona, Iowa State. That's Iowa State by 1 million. Let me see what the spread is on that one. Because I would hammer Iowa State by a lot of points there if whatever the spread is. Well, that's loading. These are the two big games that I'll probably spend the most time on. Alabama, Georgia, and then Penn State, Oregon. Alabama, Georgia, it sucks that they put these two games at the same time. I understand that 7:30 is a prime time slate, but I would have liked to sat down at even noon and watched Alabama, Georgia. 3:30 we got Ole Miss, LSU, and then 7:30 I can just turn on Oregon, Penn State, and even the opposite. I wish it was the opposite and I know people complain about how every Penn State game is at noon, and it sucks because whiteout just doesn't feel the same. And listen, the whiteout tomorrow is going to be freaking amazing, but as I'm sure they'll have it tomorrow. But I wish this game was at noon just for scheduling purposes. All right. So that Iowa State line, real quick. Minus 5.5. Yeah, I would hammer them. I think they're gonna win by at least 14 points. They're at home in Ames too, so that's good for them too. All right. Let's just talk about Oregon, Penn State. Oregon. Oregon has, I think arguably the best quarterback for his age in the entire sport. Arch Manning, been in the sport a while. Garrett Nussmeier, as I've mentioned, been in the sport a while. Drew Aller, him too. He's been in the sport for 5 years now? So all these guys have been in the sport for a really long time. Dante Moore, though, he played his first year, I think last year at UCLA. He wasn't good, but neither was UCLA. And as we can see this year, even with Nico Amialeva, or however you ever say his last name, they're still not good. But here, he's put on a team, and I feel like he's a really, really good quarterback. But oh, my bad. He was on Oregon last year. He did not start on Oregon last year though. He sat behind, who is it? Shoot. Oh, Dylan Gabriel. Anyways, he did play at UCLA 2 years ago, and they were not good still. Anyways, so in this game, last year Penn State had a really good defense. This year, Penn State's defense is, they haven't played anybody, but giving up 11 points to Nevada, that's not awesome. But I mean, I still think they're pretty good. And their offense, honestly, I don't know. I mean, Penn State's just I don't know what they are because they've played nobody. Whereas Oregon, we know Oregon can put up points. We know that Oregon can absolutely sling the ball. Do I like the Ducks in this game? You know, it's tough because I think the whiteout and playing at Beaver gives Penn State a lot of points here. So I do like Penn State. But Oregon, man, I could see Oregon doing the exact same thing they did last year, where they go 12-0, they get a bye in the playoff or whatever, and then they play the first game and they just lose. So I could see that happening again. But I don't know. It's a very tough game. Both teams are really good. In my opinion, though, I think Oregon comes out on top in this one. I do. I think Dante Moore slings the rock, and honestly, I could see Drew Aller just laying an egg here, and then them relying on their running backs and their running game just getting stopped real early, and then them not having any offense midway through the game. So yeah. All right. Let's talk about the last college football game I went to on the schedule, and that is Alabama, Georgia, the Dogs versus the Tide. So, I was laying in bed last night, and I was like, I'm gonna come up with a good saying for the Dogs versus the Tide, and here's how I would describe it: is that from about 2015 we'll call it, when I think Kirby Smart was hired at Georgia, to about 2020 when they won their first championship. The Tide always swept the dog out to the shore, to the sea. You know, he always drowned the dog. You know, we saw it in 2018. We even saw it in I believe it was 2020, maybe 2021, SEC championship. And then for a couple of years, we saw the dog stand its ground. You know, we saw the dog say, "No, you're not going to do that to me. You're not going to drag me out to sea." And then last year, the dog got dragged back out to sea and he drowned again. Now, did that affect their playoff run? No, it didn't. Did they win any playoff games? No, they didn't. So, but I think this year is different. I think this year Georgia has their QB. They have Gunnar Stockton. He's a better dual threat than I would say Carson Beck was. Carson Beck, great legs. I don't know about his arms though. You know, his arm wasn't awesome. But I do think they're gonna win this game. I think they're gonna win it convincingly. I think Kirby Smart's really gonna, you know, shut up the haters that say he can't beat Alabama with any coach, with whether it be Nick Saban, whether it be Kalen DeBoer. I think he's gonna say he's gonna show up on Saturday, even after that awesome win at Tennessee. He's gonna show up on Saturday and he's gonna say it's a new era in the SEC. And Alabama, they might not be as bad as we thought after the first week, but they won't certainly be the team that's going to make the playoff every year. They might not make a playoff for a very long time. And I think Kirby Smart's going to really cement that on Saturday night. It's at Athens, which I also love. And, somebody who hasn't really been a difference maker this year for Alabama, who usually is, where's Ryan Williams, All we heard last year, the kid's 17. Well, now the kid's 18. What the fuck is he? Oh, sorry. My bad. What has he done? So, yeah. Like, come on now. Bernard is their top receiver. You would think that Jalen Milroe is still passing the ball for this team the way that they don't have a lot of, receivers. So, I don't know. Jeremy and Bernard. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I can't believe that he just hasn't made the difference that he has. Ryan Williams, let's look. He has had, he's a sophomore, 195 yards. All right? Well, that FSU game, he had nothing. He did nothing. And then I guess he had a really good game the next week. But I don't see him having a great game this week. If he didn't have a great game at FSU, I don't think he's going to have a great game at Georgia. And I really don't see their offense doing a lot. Nor their defense. Their defense stinks. Alabama's defense stinks this year. They stink. So I don't really see... And I saw that headline popping up when I clicked on this game, is that when Georgia and Alabama play, expect a lot of points. And, I'm sure the over in this game is through the roof. What is it? 53.5. It's not as big as I thought it would be, but it's still pretty big. I would still hammer the over with that. All right. Let's transition to the NFL right now. So that was college football. That's all the college football games I wanted to talk about. Gave you a little bit of picks there if you're into that kind of thing. So let's talk about the NFL now. I think this is more my bread and butter. I've been playing really good in fantasy. My picks in the NFL have been really good this year. So hopefully I'm succeeding picking this weekend. I'm going to talk about all the NFL games though for a small portion of time. Hopefully end the podcast within the next, 30 minutes. Alright, let's look at the schedule here. I feel like this should show me the spread. Well, why don't I start talking about last night's game? Last night's game, I didn't watch a lot of it, to be completely honest. I was at club tennis. But what I did see from that game was that, the Cardinals were good. It was too little, too late for them to win. And Sam Darnold, man, people say it all the time, and I absolutely believe it to be true. If quarterbacks go to Kevin O'Connell, their career gets revived. Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, now Carson Wentz. Watch what he does. He'll probably go and start on another team, get a massive contract from who knows where. But yeah. All right. Anyways, and yeah, that's kind of the theme last night, was that Sam Darnold was just a good quarterback, and Kyler Murray was a good quarterback in the last quarter, but he wasn't really that good in the first two. So anyways, yeah, that's how I would describe it. And the Seahawks defense is also really good. But as a Rams fan, I still think we're gonna win the division. Obviously, from last night, I don't think Kyler Murray's that good. And I yeah, I think the Seahawks are good. I just don't think that their defense can compete with our defense. But yeah, it was a good game for sure. It was a good game for sure. All right, let's talk about this first game. Vikings at Steelers. Dublin game, first international game of the year. Oh, I can't wait to wake up on Sunday morning, turn on the TV, do some laundry, and watch this game. They are in Croke Park, Dublin. I have no idea where that is. I mean, I know where Dublin is. I just don't know. I don't really know where Dublin is. I mean, I know it's in Germany. I don't know where in Germany. But anyways, I don't know where Croke Park is in Dublin. Definitely. 2-2-1 teams. As I mentioned, Kevin O'Connell, the QB whisperer, the QB reviver, awesome coach. Brian Flores, too, on the defense. Brian Flores, people can't say enough good things about Brian Flores, you know? He always has a defense ready to go, up to play, and his defensive schemes are so awesome. He just always has the boys ready to go. And then on the other side, you got Aaron Rodgers, another guy. You want to talk about QB revival, going to the Jets, getting injured the first year, sucking the second year, but here we are. He's on the Steelers, and he's playing pretty good. He's playing well enough for them to make the playoffs. I'll say that much. Well enough for them to win a Super Bowl or even make it to a Super Bowl. That's still yet to be determined, but well enough to make it for them to make it to the playoffs, absolutely. How do I see this game playing out? I see this game playing out by this. I see it as a low-scoring game. The over-under here is 40. God, that screams to me under. Take the under. You know, they used to call it the lunder. I'm going to call this the gunder. You got to take the Germany under, the gunder, because they're going under. These offenses just won't be able to keep up with each other's defenses. Who do I see coming out on top? I think it's Aaron Rodgers. When I really look at this, it's Carson Wentz who hasn't, who's been able to ride off the defense, but in this case, he won't be able to because the defense he's playing is so much better than the Bengals defense that he played last week. So I see Aaron Rodgers coming out on top because I think he'll still put up points on the Vikings defense. He might not put up a lot of points on the Vikings defense, but he'll still put up points. So when it all comes down to it, I have Aaron Rodgers and the experience taking over versus Carson Wentz and the newness, the naiveness of him losing this game. But here's what I will say. I think the Vikings are going to stay in this game, and they'll be a good 2-2 team at the end of the day. At the end of the day, when they lose this game, they'll still be a good 2-2 team. So yeah, I see the Steelers taking this one. All right, let's talk about the first game of the 1 o'clock slate: the Texans and the Titans. The Texans are 0-3. Jeez, 2-0-3 teams. I'm not gonna talk about this one for very long. They're both bad. Texans, is CJ Stroud the guy? We don't know. I wish I had an answer, but we don't know. Is he the guy? I don't know. I think they have a lot of questions to ask this offseason. Is he really worth it? Is he going to lead you to a Super Bowl? Because it doesn't look like it right now. It certainly doesn't look like this is the guy to lead you to a Super Bowl. But you also got to ask yourself, is there a guy in the draft that's going to be able to lead us to a Super Bowl? And I also think the answer is probably no. So, they have a lot of questions to ask this offseason. Titans, they just need a new head coach. Brian Callahan, I think we learned that it was all just Joe Burrow. They really just need a new head coach. Um, you know, sometimes you hit with a head coach, and sometimes you miss, and I think they missed in this scenario. So after this offseason, they also have a lot of questions to ask, but instead of the quarterback, it's gonna be the head coach. But I mean, other than that, it's still really two really good defenses. Two, I don't know. This game is just gonna be a stinker. Nobody wants to watch this game. I gotta be honest. It not a lot of points probably, and certainly not a lot of fun. So I don't know who's gonna win this game. It'll probably be the Texans because I think experience matters in this league, and CJ Stroud has a lot more of it than Cam Ward. But I think it's still gonna be a stinker. All right. Eagles Bucks. Boy, oh boy. What do we have here? Jalen Hurts versus Baker Mayfield. Two quarterbacks that went to Oklahoma as their second school in college football. Well. I see the Eagles winning this one. But then in the playoffs, and I think this has happened before, then in the playoffs, the Bucks come back. They're a revamped team, having gone 10-7, 11-6, and they're gonna get revenge on the Eagles. But for right now, I see the Eagles winning this one, and here's why. Because everybody's still pumped about the season. It's still early. Jalen Hurts still locked. You know, the receivers not divas yet. Saquon still fresh legs. The defense still disciplined. Everybody is still locked on the Eagles, and when everybody is locked on the Eagles, that's when they succeed, and they're gonna succeed. Whereas the Bucks, I love them, but they're too injured right now to make to succeed. I think that's really the thing is that I believe they're too injured to succeed. You know, their whole offensive line is deteriorated. They obviously, big news out of Bucks, out of Tampa, is that they did re-sign Desmond Watson, that I think 400-pound defensive lineman out of Florida, which honestly good for Desmond. They're not going to bring him in for this game, unfortunately, to help stop the tush push. That was the headline I read. But I still think I'm glad for the guy, but it doesn't really make a difference in this game since he's not going to play. But I like the Eagles in this one. They're less injured. They're more feisty. Let's see what the spread is here. It is Philly minus 3.5. That's a tough one. I would say take Philly, but I don't know. Don't trust me. I'm just a guy on a YouTube live stream. All right. Anyways, let's go back. Panthers Patriots. Two 1-2 teams. A rematch of I don't know, since I wasn't alive yet, but some 2000 Super Bowl. I believe it was Jake Delhomme and Tom Brady were the quarterbacks of that. Anyways, now we have Bryce Young and Drake May. I like the Patriots in this one. Carolina's win last week was a fluke. I came into the season, if you listen to my podcast with Football with D-Wall, I predicted Carolina would win the NFC South. Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. Bryce Young, I think he's still coming into his own, but I do think last week was a fluke. And I think that I still think he has some potential in the league, but this year might not be the year. That's all I got to say. Whereas with Drake May, second year, he's getting to learn the system. Mike Vrabel, great coach. Added a lot of pieces in the offseason. Patriots defense, they're okay. They really, after watching the Steelers game last week, they really have to work on the penalties they force. Because, the penalties not allow, how do I say this? They commit the penalties they commit, because I think they're last in the league, maybe second to last. It is atrocious just watching them commit all these penalties. Like, you're sitting there, you're watching on your TV, and it's just like, stop committing these penalties, and they won't stop. They won't stop committing the penalties. But I do see them winning this game. Just because I don't think that Bryce Young, I don't think he's still at his top potential yet. And I know people are probably gonna be like, when is he gonna get there? When is he gonna get there? It's probably between now and next year. And if he doesn't get there between now and next year, he's just never gonna get there. That's what I got to say. So yeah, but I still think the Patriots are going to win this one just because of how many pieces they added in the offseason. A lot of people were expecting them to make the playoffs. Hank Lockwood. I am not. But I still think they're going to be better than they were last year. That's my prediction. Alrighty. Chargers, Giants. And then also, Saints, Bills. Wonder what's going to happen there. I'll tell you what's going to happen there. The Bills, they might... The Bills could probably show up drunk to the game on Sunday and still win by 40. I mean, the Saints are just atrocious. They're atrocious. I don't want to talk about this game because it's just going to be the Bills the entire time. I mean, and how bad the Saints are. All I could say about this game is that the Bills are better. They're a better team. They have better coaching. They probably have better facilities. It's not looking good for the Saints. They might win a game this year. This isn't going to be it. As long as the Bills don't, overlook this game, they'll probably win by 40. They still got to get up for this game, Like, you're not playing a junior high team. You're still playing an NFL team. It's basically a junior high team, but you still got to get up for it. And to be completely honest, it's the same thing with the Chargers and the Giants. Listen, I know that Jackson Dart is starting, but it's more of how do I say this? It's kind of like if you've ever been to sports tryouts and you've made the team, but you still got to practice because they need extra players on the field to evaluate another kid who hasn't made the team yet. That's kind of what the Chargers are here doing. They still need to stay on the field so that the Giants can test out Jackson Dart. But they've won this game. This game, it's over. They've won it. You can put it in the books. They probably, these spreads got to be so insane. Actually, that's not insane. That's insane, but that's not completely insane. I would still take the Chargers minus 6.5. I would take the Saints plus 14.5 if it really came down to it. I do like that line. But yeah. Alright, let's see here. What are we gonna talk about next? Commanders at Falcons. Is this a little bit? I think it's a revenge game for Marcus Mariota here. Commanders 2-1. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is coming back. I don't think it matters if he does. I think the Falcons are still, they're not as good as they seem. If you remember correctly, I believe the Commanders beat the Falcons last year in like week 17 or week 18 to get into the playoffs. And they're going to beat them again here. The Commanders, as time goes on, they get a little bit more experienced. I wouldn't call them getting older because they're still super young, but they're young and experienced, and I think that's what matters here. Whereas the Falcons, listen, Michael Penix is good, but he still needs time. You know what? He only started 3 games last year. He's like 6 games into his NFL career. I think this revamped Commanders defense is gonna eat him alive, and they're gonna walk away with a dub here. The line on this game, I believe I saw it, is at Washington -1.5. Hammer Washington -1.5. I love them in this game. That Commanders team last year was we played a lot. Their mantra was that we played a lot of bad teams, and we walked away winning close games against bad teams. And I think this year it's the same thing, but you up the phrase bad teams to normal teams. So yeah. All right, what's the next game? The next game is the Browns versus the Lions in Detroit, in the Motor City. So let's talk about it. The Browns versus the Lions. Ford Field, 1 o'clock. Well, I think it's noon there actually, when they play. The Browns. Last week was a fluke. It was the flukiest of the flukes. I said last week was a fluke for the Panthers. It was an even bigger fluke for the Browns. They were down 10 with about 9 minutes left to go, and they came back and absolutely shocked the Packers and shocked the world. That's not going to happen again this week. The Lions, I think the Lions are still out for blood after, I think week 1 versus the Packers. I think they're still out for blood. They're still a little bit. There's a bad taste in their mouth, and they want to get it out. And what they're doing is they're just letting it out on all these bad teams, and even I guess bad teams and good teams. Obviously, it's a short week for them. They beat the Ravens on Monday, but they killed they killed the Bears. They beat the Ravens. They're gonna kill the Browns here. I mean, they're gonna ravage them. They're gonna tear them apart. I really think that's what's gonna happen. Is that they're just gonna eat them alive, because they've been waiting for this. They've been waiting to just pounce on them. And I think this is the moment where they can really cement themselves as still a top dog in the NFC. And I think that's what they're gonna do. They fell down, and this is my favorite Dan Campbell saying. They fell down in week 1. They lost to the Packers, but they're on their way back up. And when they come back up, they're gonna bite your kneecap off. They're gonna drag you to the ground as they come back up, and that's exactly what they're doing with every team they meet. Whether it be the Bears, whether it be the Ravens, now the Browns. Next week, who is it? Next week they're playing the I don't know, but they're probably gonna do the same thing to the team next week. Play. So yeah. Slow internet, I hate it. Well, anyways, let's talk about the next game. Let's talk about, I don't know, the Bears and the Raiders. Nobody wants to watch that game. Nobody wants to watch the Bears versus the Raiders. But I guess if you gamble on the game, you gotta watch it. Bears versus Raiders. It's another Caleb Williams. It's another Caleb Williams kind of easy game. If he passes the test here. The Raiders defense, they're okay. They're not awful. They only gave 20 points to the Chargers, and Justin Herbert, who's looking very good right now. But their offense is not good. And the Bears defense, not good either. But Caleb Williams is looking better and better each week. I think he's going to look even better here. I think the Bears are 1-2 right now. Yeah, they're going to end up being 2-2 after this week, after they beat the Raiders, and then they're going to travel to Washington the week after that to face the Commanders, and that's going to be a marquee matchup. But yeah, right now I think he's going to sling the ball. I would hammer if it doesn't, I don't know. I think Caleb Williams is just gonna absolutely tear up the field against the Raiders here this week. That's my prediction. All right, my Rams versus the Indianapolis Colts. Real big test for I believe it's the 3-0 man, Daniel Jones. Yes, 3-0. Daniel Jones has been playing out of his mind this year, which is wild to say. I never thought I would say that. Again, after that 1 year, but he's been playing out of his mind. I see them being in this game, but I see the Rams walking away as a winner after losing to the Eagles next week. Another revenge spot. Not revenge spot, but another, I guess, comeback spot for us a little bit, where we take all that negative energy we had after losing to the Eagles next week, and we exert it on the Colts. And I think that's exactly what we're going to do. I think that's exactly what Matthew Stafford's going to do. I think that's exactly what the defense is going to do on Daniel Jones. Whereas the Colts, they've been riding easy this entire time. They played some good teams, no doubt. They played the Broncos, which was a good team. They played the Dolphins, which was not a good team. And then who else did they played? Who did they play last week? They played the Titans, not a good team. This is the first big test for them, and I think they're gonna fail it. I think they're gonna fail this test. All right. Second to last game of the 4:00 slot. Jacksonville at San Francisco at 4:00. Tough. This is tough. I like Jacksonville here. I think San Francisco, every year they get a little bit more shaky. They lose some more games that they shouldn't lose, especially when they're fully healthy. When they're fully healthy, especially. When they're injured, they definitely lose more games than they should. But when they're fully healthy, each year they start to lose more games than they thought, or than they did last year when they were fully healthy. And I think this year is just one of those years where they're going to do it again, where they're not going to win every game that they should. And yeah, so I see this happening again this week, and I see Jacksonville winning this game. Is it a little bit of a? It is not a little bit of a revenge game, but I feel like every game should be a revenge game after this one. I'm so. How do I say this? I'm so angry that Liam Cohen didn't kick that field goal, because I think they would have won that game if he kicked the field goal against the Bengals. And I don't think people talk about it enough that they didn't kick the field goal, that they went for it on 4th down. It was like 5 yards to go, and they didn't get it. That made them up 3 instead of 6. I was really angry at that decision. And I think it came back to bite them. I still think they're a good team. I still think they're going to beat the Niners, but every game has to be I guess a comeback game for them a little bit after that. So yeah. All right, last game of the 4 o'clock slot is the Baltimore Ravens versus the Kansas City Chiefs. It's Ravens all day. Ravens. They're -2.5. I would absolutely hammer that. I love the Ravens in this spot. The Chiefs are coming off their first win. The Ravens are also a 1-2 team. They're coming off of a loss. I like Lamar Jackson just to put on a show against this Kansas City defense. Kansas City's going to fall to 1-3. They're going to have a lot of questions to ask. But I love the Ravens this weekend. I just think they're good. They're good. And they're better than the Chiefs. And I think it's going to show. Even away. Now, I will say, this Ravens defense is not awesome this year. But neither is the Chiefs offense. But that's something to watch out for the rest of the season. Because they talked about how good the Ravens defense was last year. That was all they talked about. This year, it's not the same. It's not as good. I would say that them and Alabama kind of took the same step back in terms of defense and how good they were last year versus this year. All right, Dallas versus Green Bay. The Cowboys versus the Packers. I love the Packers in this game. How could you not love the Packers in this game? Coming off a horrible loss versus the Browns. Jordan Love is just going to show them who he is. I think it's going to be a rematch of that playoff game they had 2 years ago when it was like 48-32 and it was like 30-0 at halftime. When the Cowboys were favored to win. I think it's going to be the same exact thing this time where the Packers just light up the field. So, yeah, that's what I see happening. Where they just light up the field. This Cowboys defense, not great. Their offense, it's okay, but it's not good enough to beat the Packers in this situation. And the Packers have good everything. Oh, and Micah Parsons' revenge game as well. That's something to look out for. I think he's going to play absolutely amazing on Sunday night. Even away, I think the Cowboys faithful, I don't think they're going to really show up like people are expecting them to. And obviously the whole thing about the Micah Parsons tribute video, they're not going to have one for him. Does he deserve one? He absolutely does. But Jerry Jones, with a little bit of pettiness there, said, no, we're not going to have one. So, interesting, definitely. All right, New York at Miami. I don't want to talk about this game. Miami's going to win it. The Jets kind of stink. They're a good team. They just don't win football games. And Miami, they don't really win football games either, but they're going to win this one because the Jets win less football games. That's my analysis on it, is that they both stink. But Miami has shown some hope, whereas the Jets have just shown no hope. And then the last one is the Bengals at the here, let me look it up because this is not working. Actually. Let me try and think about who it is. Oh, Bengals at Broncos. That's it. Bengals versus Broncos. I I like the Broncos in this situation. Obviously, the Bengals still don't have Joe Burrow. The Broncos have Bo Nix. The Broncos 1-2 this year. Really, really need a game where they can just beat the crap out of the opponent, and this is the game. Now, do I think they're gonna beat the crap out of the opponent? A little bit. I would still take the Bengals plus 7.5, but I still like the Broncos to win, pretty easily. Maybe not the score saying so, but I don't think this game is ever gonna be in doubt. So yeah, that was my football analysis for this week. I hope y'all